Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In previous video, I have already shown you how to design this form, that is manage rooms form. And if you have not watched my previous video, then just go to description. There I put the link for my previous video, or you can simply do one thing, just click on the suggestion on the right side of your screen. Okay. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to back end code for this form. Okay. So let me close this first. And first thing, what we have to do is we have to actually create a database and we have to create a table to store the data from these text boxes and from these forms. Okay, so I'm going to open my Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. Here you can see this is the name. And first thing, what you have to do is you have to just execute this one, create database total. When you open this, you will find an interface like this. Here you can see this like this one. You have to just click on connect, and after that what you have to do is by default here master is selected. Okay, this one is selected. What you have to do is you have to just execute this query, create database, and name the database name. I have given it hostel, so select this and click on execute. This one will be, the database will be created. After that what you have to do is just click on this refresh button. After clicking on that, you have to just change this one from master to hostel. Search for that. Where it is, here we find this hostel. Just click on this. After selecting this, you have to just write this one. Just pause the video and you have to write create table. Table name is rooms. And first thing we have is room, and N is capital, room number, and it's a big N, not null, and it's a primary key. Room number is primary key. After that, room S is capital, room status, and it's a varchar type of size 250, not null. After that, we have the third column, that is booked, and it's a varchar 150 and default no. It means that whenever new data will be inserted, nothing is inserted is booked, then the value will be no by default. Okay, so just pause the video and execute this to query. I hope you have executed the query. Now I'm moving back to our project on which we are working. So move back over here, and here I have actually left few stuff that we still have to set. Actually, I have missed one label over here and another over here. So let me just copy this and paste it, and let me just change the color for this one, for color to yellow. After this, let me change the text. For now, set text, and I need one more, so copy and paste over here. Okay, after this just click on this and let me change the name for this one to design name, actually label room exist. And this one to labeled room. Not to worry about anything if you are not understanding what I'm doing right now, so just follow the step. I have just changed the design name for these two labels. After this, I'm going to change the design name of this text box, this one, and this one as well. So I'm going to do that. First click on this and search for design in the properties of that, and I'm going to name this one txt room number 1, because this is the first text box for room number actually. And change this one to checkbox 1. So just select this one and let me remove this. Checkbox 1. Change this one to txt room number 2, and this one to checkbox 2, like this. Hit enter. After this, I'm going to change the name for these button as well. So select this and btn add room, this one to btn search, this one to btn update, this one to btn delete. Okay, finally everything is now set for this one. After this, what you want is when this form load, I want to fill this data grid view with the data. That's the first thing I want. And one more thing we need. I want to hide these two labels whenever this form is loaded. These label needs to be visible only in certain conditions. I will explain that in this video. Just be focused and have some patience. So first thing I'm going to just hide these two labels when this form loads and fill this data grid view with the data. So just double click on the empty space and we move back to the add new room load event, and here we have already set the location, that is the opening location. We don't need to make any changes to that. First thing we have to actually hide the labels. So what label we have changed? Actually we have changed the name of the label. So first label is label room, I guess. Yeah, label room dot visible is equal to false, and let's check if this works or not. So I'm going to start this project and I have hidden only one label. It means that one label will be still visible. Okay, so I'm going to click on this and here you can see this one label is hidden and one label is visible. So I have to hide this one too. So let me close this and we have to write the same thing for label 2. So label room exist dot visible is equal to false. Now both labels are hidden. After this, what we have to do is we have to actually fetch the data from that database and we have to set the data into this data grid view. Up for that, what we have to do is we have to first create a class. So let me minimize this one a little bit. And after that, we have to just right click on this, click on add, and we have to search for class. Where it is? Okay, new item. Oh, here we go, class. And I'm going to name this class function and click on add. Okay, it will take a little bit of time. Here you can see this, now the function class is ready. After this, what we have to do is we have to actually create few methods to get a connection from the database. One method will be for that. Another method will be to set the data. It means that for insertion, updation and deletion. And one method will be to fetch the data from the database. So let's start doing that. So let's start with that. So first we have to write protected. This is a type. Actually it is an access modifier. So when I write protected, it means that this method is only accessible inside this class. Okay. So protected SQL, it's going to return a SQL connection type object. Okay, so when I write SQL connection, and here you can see this, automatically this library is included in our project using system.data.sql client. If this doesn't happen with yourself in your system, then you have to just manually write it over here and error will be resolved. Okay, after this, what we have to do is we have to just write the method name. So I'm going to name this method get connection and this curly brackets. After this, here you can see that this one is showing error because we haven't returned the SQL connection type object, because this one we have mentioned that it's going to return a SQL connection type object. So don't worry about this error. If you find this, you have to just keep writing with me and at the last this will be removed. So first create a SQL connection object. Con is equal to new SQL connection. Con dot, we have to pass the connection string like this. There we go. And next thing what we have to do is to return, okay, return con. When I write this, return con, and here you can see this, when I write this, error has been resolved, but our method is not completed yet. We have to mention few stuff over here. So connection string, what we have to mention is, first thing we have to mention data source, and from where you are going to get this, move back to your database and you have to just click on this, click on connection object. You have to copy this stuff, just copy this, move back over here and you have to just paste it, and you have to add one more slash over here. Otherwise this will show error. So let me just minimize this one a little bit. After this, we have to just add a semicolon. After this, we have to mention the database name. So database, and my database name is Hostel, and integrated security. It is asking for password like that. So we don't need to worry about this one. We have to just simply write integrated security is equal to true. Security is equal to true. That's it. So you can see this clearly. I have written like this. Don't make any small mistake, not even a single spelling mistake. If that happens, this will cause a serious problem. Okay. Just pause the video and write the same stuff. After this, we have to mention now we have the connection. Whenever we call this method get connection, this is going to return a SQL connection object. Okay, so what next we have to do is we have to actually create two methods. One is to actually set the data and one to get the data. So public, and we need actually data first. So data set, and when I hit enter, this one will be added over here using system.data. Then only we can actually use this data set over here. So why I have written data set over here, because after firing whatever query we pass inside this method is going to access it, fetch some data from the database, and being that data is being set or stored inside a data set, and that data set object we will return whenever this method will be called. If you are confused with my statement, so not to worry. When I'm writing this complete method, you will be understand clearly. Okay, so I'm going to name this method get data. For now, understand this, that this method get data is going to return an object of data set type. That's it. Okay, so this method is going to accept one query, one argument of a string type. So string and query. Not to worry, you will understand everything. Just be focused and have some patience. Okay, so SQL connection, we need some connection. So we already have a method that get connection. So I'm going to just create an object or variable for that SQL connection, and I'm going to just call the method get connection. That's it. When we call this method, this all will be fired and this connection will be returned, and this connection, the connection will be now stored in this one, and I can actually use this. Okay, after this we have to just write few more line of code. So first thing, we have to create a SQL command object. So SQL command cmd is equal to new SQL command. Sorry. After this, we have to just pass the connection to the command object. Cmd dot connection is equal to con. After this, we have to pass the command text. So cmd dot command text is equal to, and from where this text will be fetched, whenever we call this method, we are going to pass one string type stuff with this. So that query will be passed over here. So I'm going to name that query. So I'm using this argument over here. Okay. After this, we have to mention SQL data adapter object. We have to create that. VA is equal to new SQL data adapter, and we have to pass CMD inside this one. After this, we have to create an object of data set. DS is equal to new data set. Okay. Like this. After this, we have to just fill this data set with the data. So whatever query we have passed inside this one, will be executed and placed in the DA. We have to just fill the data set from the DA values. Okay, so let me do that. And we have to write DA dot fill, and in this we have to pass DS. And finally, now everything is done, and here you can see this one is showing an error because we haven't returned any data set type object. Okay, so I'm going to return that. So return DS. When you write this, error will be resolved. Now the method we need is written over here. So actually I'm going to write one more method to actually set the data. We don't need that method in this video, but I'm going to write that to simplify our stuff. Okay, so not to worry, I'm going to explain each of the stuff. If you have any issue, just you can contact me on Instagram. I'm going to resolve your error as soon as possible. Okay, so we have to write this public void, and I'm going to name this one set data, and this one is also going to accept two arguments. First is the string query, and the second one is of string type as well, and message. So we have to create a SQL connection as well. So you know from where I'm going to get that, from the method which we have already written over there, get connection. After this we have to write create a SQL command object, cmd is equal to new SQL command. After this I'm going to write cmd dot connection. I'm going to pass the connection object to the cmd is equal to con, and now I'm going to open the connection. So actually set data and get data, a little bit of difference in the code, so not to worry about that. Here we have to actually open the connection first, so I'm going to open that connection. We have to just simply write open, and after this we have to just fire the query. So cmd dot command text is equal to query. We have to fire that, and we have passed the query to command. After this, how to fire that? For that we have to mention cmd dot execute non-query, and when you write this, the query will be fired into the database. After this we have to just execution of query, we have to close the connection, so con dot close. And finally we have to show some message to the user that your operation is successful. Whatever message is being passed by the user, I want to show that into the message box. So I'm going to write a line of code for that. So message box dot show, and what I want to show is a message. So this variable is a string type, and I'm going to show that whatever the user passes inside that. So msg, when you write this, yeah, this will work perfectly fine. And I'm going to name something to this message box, so I'm going to name this one information. After this I'm going to give some button to this message box, so message box button dot, and I need only one button, so okay. And I'm going to add some icons to this, so message box icon dot information, and here we go. And now our two methods are ready. Whatever we need only these two methods. I hope you understand what I have written. If you don't understand, just contact me. Okay, so now I move it back to over here. Here we have discussed that we have to hide these two labels, so we have already done that over here on this form load event. Next thing what we have to do is we have to set the data to this data grid view. So let me do that. Just double click on this, and here we move over here. So first thing, we have to create an object for that function class which we have recently created. So after creation we have to just press the ctrl yes button to save this one, and here the small star mark like this will be removed when you save this. I hope you did that. Now move back over here. So first thing, I'm going to create a function class object. So function, I'm creating object because so that I can use the methods which I have created inside this class. Okay, so function fn is equal to new function. Okay, so now we have actually created a object for that, and next thing what we have to do is we have to actually create a variable, and I'm going to name this one query. You can name anything whatever you like, but I'm going to name this one query. Okay, so I have written in globally so that I can access or use these two throughout this class. Okay, so what we have to do is first we have to write the query. So I'm going to write the query. So what I want is I want to fetch all the data from this table and show that into the data grid view. So our table name is rooms, ROOMS, and all in small letters. So I'm going to write select star from rooms. Now our query is ready. Next thing what we have to do is we have to create a data set object to store the data into that, and when we call the method that is the get data, so fn, that is a function class object fn dot get data. Here you can see this, and it's expecting one argument of string type, so I'm going to pass the query. We have written over here this one. You can name anything for this one, whatever you feel like this one. So I have written this query because it's easy to understand. Okay, so now we have the data. When you fire this method is going to return a dataset object. I have already explained you that from here. Here you can see this, and that dataset object will be stored. The data from that will be stored in this DS. So next thing what we have to do is we have to show that data into this data grid view. So let me see the name for this data grid view. What is the name? Okay, so the name for this one is search for design actually. So anyone can see that? Okay, also can't able to see where it is. Yeah, here you can see this Guna 2 data grid view. So let me just remove this Guna 2 data grid view 1. Oh, that's look nice. So let me make this D small. Yeah, now move back over here, data grid view 1. So move back over here and we have to set that. So data grid view, sorry, data grid view 1 dot data source is equal to ds, and the data stored in the data set is in the form of tables. So tables, and we have only one table. And why I have mentioned 0 over, because in computers the indexing start from 0, that's why tables 0. Okay, so now let's see that if this data grid view is filled with the data or not. So now start this. Okay, it's taking a little bit of time, not to worry about that. We have to wait few seconds. Okay, now here our project is started. Just log in, sorry, sign in, click on this, and here you can see this. Yeah, now all the data from the database will be now visible in this data grid view. Okay, so next thing what I have to do is I have to actually set the data for these two stuff. Actually I want to insert the data. Okay, so let me close this. Okay, just click on this, and first thing we have to code for this button. Okay, so what is that? This is add room button. So just double click on this, and ptn add room click event is generated. And here first thing what I want to do is when I click on this button, suppose we have already added 101 room number in the database and we are trying to insert 101 again, then first we have to check that if that room exists, then we can't able to add that room again. So for that I'm going to write a query. first. So query is equal to select star from rooms. Rooms is actually the table name, where room number is equal to, the room number will be written inside. Room number will be written inside the first text box. In this one, when I click on this, that I want to verify that room number. So we extract the room number from this one. So this one is txt room number 1. So it's in the integer format. That's why double quotes and double quotes. Okay. So txt room number 1 dot text. We want to extract text from that. When you write this, error will be resolved. Now we have this. After this, I'm going to actually store some data into the data set, because we are going to fetch the data. So is equal to, and function dot get data, and we are going to pass the query. Try to understand one small stuff. If 100, suppose I'm trying to add a room number, that is 100. If this room is already in the database, then when I fire this query, that is select star from rooms where room number is 100, then this is going to return some data, and that will be stored inside this DS. Okay. So if this DS is filled with the data, it means that room exists, room already registered in the database. If this DS is empty, then we can add that room here. I hope you understand. So what logic we are going to play over here is, we are going to check that if DS is empty, then only we need to add that room. In the else condition, we need to show some text into this label, that is room already exists. Let me show you that. If ds.tables 0 dot rows dot count is equal to 0, it means that if ds is empty, then we want to do some stuff. In the else condition, that is, it means that that data set have some data. In the else condition, I want to show something to the user. So first thing what we have to do is, we have to set the text before this one. So the name for this one is label room exist. Okay, so label label room exist, and first thing I want to set the text is equal to room already exist. I want to set this text. This text will be visible to the user, and here you can see this. When this form loads, I have made this one hidden, so I want to enable this over here. So label room exist dot visible is equal to true. Okay, so let's check if this works or not. Start this, and we will try to actually insert a room which already exists in our database. So just sign in, click on this, and here you can see this 100,101. We try with the 101 or whatever you feel like. So yes, and click on this. Room already exists. Yeah, this one is working fine. We cannot insert 101 because this already exists. Yeah, this one is working fine. Okay. So now we have already checked that the room exists or not. After this, what I have to do is, I have to actually insert that data into the database if that room doesn't exist. It means that when this data set is empty. So let me do that. For that, first thing I need a variable of a string type, is to string status, and I'm going to check first thing that if this checkbox is checked, it means that if this one is checked, it means the room is active. It means that if room is active, then only that room is allowed for booking. Okay, so if, let me explain you why I have taken one variable of string type and status. Okay, so if, and the checkbox name is checkbox 1, I guess. Yeah, so checkbox 1 dot checked, when this one is checked, I want to set the status is equal to yes. It means that active. In the else condition, I want to set the status to no. Like this. Now this status will have the value yes and no on the basis of that checkbox is checked or not. Here you can see this. I hope you understand this part. After this, what we have to do is we have to make that label invisible. If the room is available for insertion of the data, then we don't need to see that label. Label room exists. Okay, so I want to make that one invisible. So label room exists dot visible is equal to false. And let's check that. Start this. Let's see if this works or not. Login. Click on this. 101. Add room. Room already exists. I want to try 1010. Click on this and it will say that this label is invisible now because this room is not in our database. We can insert this. Okay. So this one is working fine. So let me close this. After this, what we have to do is we have to write the query to insert that into the database. So query is equal to, and we have to write insert into rooms, that is the table name, and the column name is, let me copy that from the database. Our column name is room status and booked. Room number and room status. Okay, room number and room status. So let me copy this, move back over here, paste it, or you can manually write it, and values, and inside this one we have to write the values. Okay, so here we have to write that, oh sorry, plus plus. So room number is an integer format, that's why only this double quotes. We haven't mentioned the single quotes over there because that's for the string type. Okay, so here we have to extract the data from the txt room number 1 text. Txt room number 1 is the design name for this text box. After this, we have to extract the value from this one, and the value from this one will be extracted on the basis of checked or not. So we have to set this status for this room status. Okay, so we have to just mention comma over here, single quotes, double quotes, because it's a string, so plus plus, double quotes and single quotes, and we have to mention status over here. Now our query is ready. Next thing what we have to do is we have to actually fire this query into the database. So how to do that? Fn dot, we have to call the method set data, and like this, and we have to pass two stuff inside this one. We don't need any data set over here because set data, we have mentioned the set data. In the set data we have to only pass two queries, and this one is a void type. It means that this method is not going to return anything. Okay, so we have to pass the query first, and the second we have to pass a message. So I'm going to directly write a message over here. So what message I'm going to write is room added, and after this, when all of this task is done, I want to reload that form. So what happened when I reload this form? So in the load event, I have written this to extract the value from the database and show that into the data grid view. So when I reload that after the insertion, then there will be instant effect of updation of data into the data grid view. So let me show you the difference. So add new room load, and in this we have to pass two stuff. This, it means that this form, and second stuff we have to pass null. That's it. So first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to just comment this and start this. Let's sign in. Just click on this. And I'm going to add room number 201. Here you can see this 201 is not over here. So first try to add 200. Just click on this. Room already exists, nothing happens. 201. I'm going to try this. Click on add room. Yeah, room added, and when I click on OK, here you can see this. The data is not instantly visible over here. When I try to close this and click on this again, now 201 is visible over here. So this one is not that much. This one is not impressive. What I want is instantly reload that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just uncomment this and show you now the difference between these two. Sign in. Now I'm going to add 202. Yes. And here you can see this. For the last one, active status is no. So let me maximize this one a little bit. Booked, yeah, booked is no. Room status, no, because we haven't checked this one last time. So I have checked this one for this time and click on add room. Room added, click on OK, and when you scroll down, 202 is over here and room status is yes. It means that it's active for booking. So now we have to search the first, we have to code for this one now. This one is working. We can add rooms now. So we have to search and we have to code for this update and delete as well. So let me start with the searching first. So just double click on this and we'll generate a click event for this search button. btn search click event is generated. After this, first thing what we have to do is we have to search for that room, if that room exists or not. Okay, so we have to write the query is equal to, and we have to write the same stuff. So we have to actually write this query again. The difference is the text box, and we have to change the text box name, text box 2. Select start from rooms where room number is equal to text box number 2, and we have to say the text from the text box 2. The text box 2 is this one. Okay, and after this we have to just call them create an object data set ds is equal to fn dot get data, and we have to pass the query. So query. After this, what we have to do is we have to check that if data set is empty or not. If this time the thing is different. If this data set is empty, then no room exists. Whatever we are trying to search, we have to show that. If ds.tables 0 dot rows dot count is equal to 0, it means that no room exists. So we have to set that text for this label, that no room exists. So label, the name for that one is label room dot text is equal to no room exists. And I want to make this one visible. Dot visible is equal to true, and I want to make the checkbox. If this checkbox is checked, I want to make this one unchecked. So for that I have to write checkbox 2 dot checked is equal to false. Okay, so this will happen. These all stuff is done when no room exists in the database. When this data set is empty, when we try to search a room which doesn't exist. Okay, in the else condition, if room exists, then what we have to do is we have to actually show that label room dot text is equal to, I want to set the text first. What text I want to set is room found. After this, I want to make this one visible. Label room dot visible is equal to true. So if you must be worried about that. Why I always making this one visible? I have done this over here. I have done this over here too. So what I'm trying to do is, suppose if you have entered a room which already exists, then we will not move to the if condition, then we move to the else condition. In that case, we need to make this one visible over here. Okay, so I have made this one visible, room found. Let's see first, check this if this works or not. try to search 564, that doesn't exist, so no room exists. 202 we have already added. Room found. 101, search for that. Room found. 1010, search for that. No room exists. Yeah, this one is working fine. Next thing what we have to do is when I search this room, I want to make this checkbox checked and unchecked on the basis of this status from the database. Okay, so how to do that? For that, what we have to do is we have to write one stuff over here. If ts dot tables 0, I'm using this ts from here, this one, this data set. ts dot rows dot, sorry, not dot, 0th row and column 1, and convert that to string is equal to yes. What I have done over here is ts table 0 dot rows and convert this one to string. Yeah, this one is working fine. After this, what I have to do is, let me just explain you what I have did over here. It's showing an error. Structure request a 32-bit signature integer to browser.NET framework source code type. Okay, not to worry about it. Oh, sorry, I have missed a double bracket over here like this. Yeah, and here our error is resolved. What I have done over here is actually in the data set, the data is stored in the form of table. So let me show you how this data is visible. I have added a breakpoint over here. To add a breakpoint, just you have to just click on this most left, and let me show you how the data set contains the data. So click on this. Sign in. Click on this. 100. Oh, sorry, not this one. This one. 100. Click on this, and we move to the breakpoint. Now you have to just hover over this and click on this small magnified glass. When you click on this, you can see we have room number, room status, and booked is yes or no. So we need to fetch this status. So this one is 0th column, sorry, 0th row and 0 and 1. This one is 1 column, 0th row and first column. Okay, so let me stop this and let me remove this breakpoint. So here what I have did is data set, and from the data set we need tables, and from that table we have to access a particular cell value. So rows, 0th row and first column, and convert that to string. It means that we have to convert that to string. Either it will be yes or no. So if it is equal to yes, it means that checkbox needs to be checked. So we have to write like this: checkbox 2 dot checked, sorry, checked is equal to true, and in the else condition, that it means that the value is no. In that condition, checkbox 2 dot checked is equal to false. Let's check if this works or not. Search for 100. Here you can see this status is yes. It means that when I search for this one will be checked. Just click on this. Here you can see this automatically it's checked, and the value for 201 is no. So I'm going to write 201 and click on search. This one is unchecked automatically. Yeah, this one is working fine. After this, what we have to do is we have to code for these two buttons, that is update and delete. That's it. So just close this, move back over the designing part, and we have to just double click on this and click event will be generated for the PDN update. Here we have to just take a variable of a string type, status. If checkbox 2 dot checked, if this one is checked, I want to set status to yes. And in the else condition, we can actually only update the status Okay, so we have to just change the value of that on the basis of marked or not marked. So here what I have did is, if checkbox is checked, then I want to set the status yes, and if checkbox is not checked, then I want to set the status no for this variable. Now what we have to do is we have to write the query. So query is equal to, and we have to write the data query update and table name. So table name is rooms, and set column name. So room status is equal to single comma double plus plus double comma single, like this, and within this we have to mention the status. And now our query is ready. If you think so, then you are wrong, because if we fire this query, then each row in the table will be updated on the basis of this. If this is yes, then all the rows in the database in the table will be yes, and if no, then all the row will be no. So what we have to do is we have to actually mention the condition for which room number we have to change. So where room number is equal to, we have to check that, plus plus, and we have to just extract that value from the txt room number 2 dot text, like this. Here you can see this. I'm checking that for which room number I want to update the status. Now our query is ready. After this, I have to just call the method fn dot set data, and we have to pass the query and one message, details updated. And after this, I want to reload the form. So add new room load, and we have to pass two stuff, this, and the second one is null. And let's see if this button, update button, works or not. Sign in, click on this, and here you can observe for room number 100, yes, status is yes. So I'm going to change this one to no. Just unselect this, click on update, details updated, and when I click on OK, reload, this form reloads, and here you can see that the status is changed to no. And this one is working fine. Next thing what we have to do is we have to actually code for this delete. Let me close this and move back to the design. Just double click on this one, and this will generate a click event for PD and delete click. And here we have to check that if label room dot text is equal to room found. What I'm doing over here is, okay, so what we want is we want to delete only those rooms which we have. If we try to delete room which doesn't exist, like 105 or like 5000, that doesn't exist in our database, then that is not feasible, that is not good programming practice. So what I have did over here is label room. What I did over here is when we found some room, I have set the label, this label room, to room found. So I'm going to use that text. If label room dot text is equal to room found, then only I want to delete that data. In the else condition, what I want to do is I want to show a message that you are trying to delete something that doesn't exist. Okay. So message box dot show, and what we have to write is trying to delete which doesn't exist, and I'm going to name this one error, or you can name this one warning. Okay, so message box, and I need one button, so message box button OK, and message box icon dot error Okay, let's check if this works or not. If no room found, then I want to show this message trying to delete which doesn't exist. Just click on 5000, search, no room exists, click on this. Trying to delete which doesn't exist. Here, this one is working fine. When you change this one to 100, this room is actually, if you have this one, when I click on this search, room found, and click on this, nothing happens because we haven't written any code for that. Let me close this and move back over here. You need to write the query. So to delete query is equal to, you have to write delete from table name, that is rooms, where room number is equal to, and this is a integer type, so double quotes plus plus txt room number 2 dot text. That's what we need to write query. So fn dot set data, we have to call the method. We have to pass the query first, and second thing, we have to pass the message. So we have to pass the message. I'm going to pass that room details deleted. After this, I want to reload the form. So add new room load, and we have to pass two methods, this and second one is null, two argument actually. And now let's check if this works or not. Start with this. Click on sign in. Click on this. Search for 202. Search room found. I want to delete this. Room details deleted. When I click on OK, here it is 202 is removed. Yeah, this one is working fine. So that's it for this video, guys. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to design for this new student form button. Actually, when I click on this, nothing is visible over here. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to design that stuff and how to connect this with this button. Okay, so till then, bye, take care, and just subscribe and share with your friends. Thanks for watching.